Sometimes a quiet evening stroll through the garden is what one needs. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and the gardens are starting to look so beautiful right now. So I wanted to take you for a walk through the garden here at the greenhouse. These are our proven winner signature gardens that I'll be walking through right now. And it's just so pretty just to see little surprises as you go here and there and just seeing what's in flower. So come along and take a walk through the garden with me. We just recently got a fresh layer of mulch here in all of the garden beds, and I just love how it makes everything look so tidy and clean. It's just a thin layer, just enough to kind of keep the weeds at bay and keeping the gardens looking really fresh. Beautiful creeping phlox is starting to bloom, and I love the beautiful bicolor blooms here. It's just really kind of one of those wake up to spring garden flowers. We also have a lot of this Amsonia storm cloud. I talk a lot about Amsonia storm cloud because it's such a great spring bloomer, nice mounding habit with its beautiful periwinkle blue blooms. It's just such a pretty, airy, dainty look in the garden bed. Our Boomerang lilac is just starting to put on buds, and I would say by next week this baby is going to be in full bloom. Boomerang lilac is about 5 or so foot tall and just coated. This is a re-blooming lilac, so it blooms in the spring here in May. We're in West Michigan, a zone 6A, and then it will continue to put on blooms throughout the season. Now, not as prolific as what we're seeing here today, but anytime you can get a lilac that will re-bloom throughout the summer is a bonus, because usually lilacs are just a spring blooming shrub. Artemisia silver lining is tucked here in nicely close to this Boomerang lilac, and it's a fantastic foliage ground cover with its beautiful silver leaves. The serrated foliage just adds again that nice color and texture and contrast into the garden bed. Making our way around to the front here of the bed, we're going to look at some spirea. This is the candy corn spirea. This is a proven winners variety. And look at the fantastic foliage on this. Shades of yellow and orange and chartreuse green. It really stands out in the garden bed. I love using plants that have kind of that different or bright looking foliage, because even when they're not in flower, they really do make quite a beautiful statement. Soon this will all be planted up with annuals. So it's going to be just a mass of color, but I wanted to show you the garden beds before the annuals were in, just so you could kind of see like the foundation of the bed, what it looks like, and what the plants look like as they're starting to wake up. Another lilac here starting to bloom. This is a more compact variety. This is Boomerang Dwarf Pink, which no longer is in production, but it is just a very compact blooming lilac with pink blooms and only about 2 to 3 foot tall, so very compact in its size. Making our way over, we have some Nepeta that is blooming. But before we stop at the Nepeta, an important stop is at the hardy hibiscus. So for those of you who are worrying about your hardy hibiscus because you're not seeing a lot of foliage yet, I mean, obviously, look, there's a lot of foliage going on in this garden, but this hardy hibiscus is just starting to wake up. They're one of the last things to wake up in the garden, but once they wake up, they are really quick to put on growth, and they'll be blooming in here in Michigan anyways in August. So if you're just starting to see just a little bit of those foliage showing through that bark, this is what it looks similar in your garden, don't be alarmed. This is very normal, and even if you're in a cooler climate, you might not even see this yet. So just be patient, it'll show up, and when it does, it'll go to town. Here we have the chartreuse on the loose Nepeta. We kind of tucked it in here behind our cornice. That's the Arctic Fire yellow, and also between some Monarda. This has got that fantastic chartreuse green foliage, beautiful purple blooms. I was actually kind of surprised that it was this much in color right now, because of all of the Nepeta we have in the garden, this is really the only one that's putting on any amount of color and any amount of show. So chartreuse on the loose is a Nepeta that is going to spread a little bit. Loose is the name, and it's kind of the habit as well. It's not super neat and tidy. but it does have that beautiful foliage and flower. And this is a long blooming perennial that blooms all season long. We're going to make a quick stop here at the Bloomables Garden. So for those of you who've watched for any amount of time, this is a garden that was planted up just last spring. I think it was May or so that we got it planted up. So we will be doing a follow-up video on what plants fared well and overwintered. And there's some that haven't overwintered, but we didn't anticipate them to either, because we were testing the limits on some of the plants that we did plant in this garden, planting zone 7 plants in our zone 6 garden. But look at here, this is so much color, especially for this early in the season. So what is the color coming from? We have some Armeria. This is the Dream Area. This is the Daydream Color Thrift. Beautiful whimsy balls on just, nice, tight, low growing foliage. And this is a long blooming perennial that blooms all summer long. Just behind it, we have some alyssum. This is a beautiful yellow alyssum, makes a nice ground cover. This is 3 plants that started off as, I believe they were in a 8-inch container last year. So it's really done quite a good job of spreading. This is called the Alyssum Golden Spring. Next, we have some beautiful white blooms here. And this is on Iberis. This is the Snow Station Iberis. And I like how this stayed pretty tidy. It didn't do a lot of spreading yet. So it's just creating these beautiful white mounds of color. Next, we have Jacob's Ladder. This is such a fun Jacob's Ladder because it's got the variegated foliage. So even when it's not in flower, it's got fantastic bicolor foliage. This is called Golden Feathers. And I'm loving those light purple blooms here on these plants. Really kind of a stunning combination of foliage and color. Some more little Armerias. Nice border plant, perfect for rock gardens or as used here. This is the Sweet Dreams color. A little bit of a pink with a little bit of a lavender hint to it. This was another surprise for me actually, and this is Salvia. This is the Blue Bayou Salvia. And the surprising thing is I'm surprised that it's blooming so much, so prolifically this early in the season. I love the habit of this particular one. It's about 18 or 20 inches tall or so, and about 18 or 20 inches wide. Really beautiful blue or purple in the flower world. Flowers, nice tall spikes. And this is another perennial that when it's done flowering, give it a light trim, and it'll be right back at flowering again within no time. Next up on my evening tour is right here alongside the parking lot. And this is our bed where we will be planting all the new varieties of annuals. So new introductions for 2026 will go in these spaces. And this is always a great place to look if you come visit us here at the Garden Center to get a sneak peek of those new annuals a year before they're introduced. It's really nice to be able to do the trials. That way when we're talking about the plants, we can say, from our experience, this is what we saw. Here we have the Salvia Pink Dawn just starting to open. Nice tall flower spikes, beautiful light pink color. Just past it is a little bit more of that Creeping Phlox. Creeping Phlox is a great plant just to kind of tuck in here and there and everywhere in the garden. Oh, it's that nice, beautiful golden hour right now with the sun setting. So hopefully we can get the tour done before it's totally down. I think we'll be able to. But I love the way the colors just really pop when the sun is setting. We have a few of our irises blooming right now, and I know somebody's going to ask me what iris is this, and unfortunately I can't tell you because this was here about 20 years ago or so when we purchased the garden center. I love the flowers. It oftentimes will rebloom later on in the season, but it's just, irises are a nice early spring blooming plant as well. One thing I will tell you with irises, if you have them, is they do better if you split them from time to time. So if you have a big chunk of iris in your garden and they just don't seem like they're doing a lot of blooming, it's okay. Go ahead and trim them back or split them, not trim them back, but split them, share them with a friend. And I think you'll find that they'll put on a better show for you next year in the garden. Here's another really pretty one, nice yellow. And again, this is another one that was here before we really bought the place, but and just a nice, bright, sunshiny addition to this garden space. We're going to head on over to the berm here. We call this our north berm because it's at the north end of the gardens. And there's a lot of little surprises in here. I took a walk yesterday through it, and I was like, oh man, I got to come back out here again and do some filming because there were so many things blooming that I just really wasn't prepared for that they'd be blooming right now. And here's one we're going to start with. It's a shrub. It's a feathergella. It's Legend of the Fall. So this actually is a little bit past its prime. Try focusing in here. There we go. So that is what those spring flowers look like. This plant also is known for its fantastic fall foliage, shades of red and orange. This is very small right now, not a very mature plant, but something obviously, you know, you can't have a mature plant overnight. In the back, that chartreuse you're seeing, that is a privet, golden ticket. And I like how we've used this to just really kind of break up the foliage color. Again, great use of chartreuse green in the garden. That helps make everything else just pop a little bit better. We got to get out here and fix our clematis stakes. So what we did here is we took some re-rod, spray painted it, kind of fun and whimsy colors, and made it into a tripod shape. So I'll have to come out and do this later, but it's kind of leaning right now. But we planted one clematis at the foot of each of those wires, and then it climbs up, and these are probably 10 foot tall or so. It'll climb up and really add some nice vertical color into this bed in the summertime. Got a few just starting to wake up. This is the Paint the Town dianthus. So just a couple of ones, but there's a lot of buds hanging out on that plant. So in the next tour, we'll be having lots of color from those Paint the Town dianthus. Just kind of giving you a little foliage walkthrough right now. We'll be coming up to some more pretty things here shortly. Here's one. This here's a smoke bush. And again, look at that beautiful chartreuse green. This is Winecraft Gold. And it's just got nice foliage on it and really stands out here in this garden bed. Some more of the Artemisia silver lining. Beautiful silver foliage, mounding habit. Just kind of a nice plant for front borders or to tuck into various garden spaces. Boom Chocolata. This is a geranium. It's not blooming yet, but I wanted to show you its fantastic near black foliage. And we have that paired with our Durvilla. This is the Kodiak Fresh, I believe, which is a Durvilla that's got more of the lighter foliage, kind of the chartreuse hues. These are great native shrubs. Durvilla bloom little tiny yellow flowers. They can grow in sun, they can grow in shade. Here's another one. And really, if you've got a troublesome spot in the garden, Durvilla are pretty happy just about anywhere that you plant them. Oh, up here on the top, we got a lilac. This is the Centera pura lilac, and it's just a little bit past its prime. This is an old-fashioned lilac. Beautiful big blooms, lots of fragrance. It smells really lovely up here right now. Gorgeous. And this is obviously one of those spring bloomers. And as we started off the video with the Boomerang lilac, you can see just how different this flower form is to the Boomerang. These are bigger flowers, but they're a little bit more sporadic, where Boomerang just really totally covers the full plant. Here at the very tippy end of the north bed, we have the Dicentra. And it's just starting to bloom. This is the longest blooming perennial in this bed. This is Pink Diamonds. And it's just starting now, but it's going to be going well into September or October, depending on what our, what our fall is like, how warm or how cold it is. Making our way around, showing you just a little bit of the structure of this bed. Look at that cloud. So gorgeous. We're supposed to get some rainstorms tonight, I think. But man, these cloud formations are so beautiful. All right, just checking out the structure of this area of the garden. There's a lot of summer bloomers in this space. We've got some dianthus that'll be blooming right up front here within a couple weeks or so. Heuchera corbels. These here are the wild berry. Nice kind of rosy burgundy leaves. And you can see they're a little bit brown. Some of this brown and burn that we're seeing on some of these plants is because we had the mulch blown in. And when we did that, it kind of is hot because it's running through a tube, and it can on occasion kind of burn some of the edges of the flowers. It's such a huge time saver though, so even though it does kind of burn some of the plants, it's still worth it for the amount of time it saves to have that mulch blown in. Making our way through, and all these spaces again that you're seeing with no plants, these are going to all be loaded up with annuals here in the next few days or so. Look at this massive patch here of creeping phlox. It just looks like a bed, and I love it. It's pink sparkles, and I think this started off as 3, maybe 5 plants in the quart-sized container. They've been in here, I think this garden bed is going on year 4 now, 4 or 5, and it's just such a gorgeous display, especially from the road. If you've watched again before, you've heard me talk about the 55-mile-an-hour garden, which is just on the other side of that white picket fence there. And that's where we're going to be planting up a ton of petunias, something that as people are driving past is going to really turn their heads, catch their eyes, and draw their attention here to Garden Crossings. We'll continue walking, heading over towards the waterfall. For those of you that this is the first video you've watched, or maybe you've watched many and haven't caught me say it before, Garden Crossings is an online garden center. Our website is gardencrossings.com, and we also have our local garden center, which is here located in Zeeland, Michigan, and we welcome you to stop by anytime. And the gardens are always open, so if you're ever in the area here of West Michigan, check out our beautiful display gardens here. Here's some of the heaven sent Jacob's Ladder, such a fragrant plant. I love these purple blooms. They smell like grapes. Great texture with that foliage. And another perennial that just kind of wakes the garden up here in the spring. Here's a cute little tree. This is a proven winner's tree. And this one is called Midnight Express. It's a red bud tree. And let's take a closer look actually at the buds. So it's a little bit past its prime because I'm seeing a lot of buds on the ground. But beautiful pink flowers. And then soon we're going to have the deep burgundy leaves on it. So this is something you're going to definitely see in future videos once it's all leafed out. We don't carry any of the proven winner trees here at Garden Crossings. So if that is something you're interested in, you might need to call Proven Winners and find out where they sell their trees. Looks like Rod's coming to meet me out here in the garden, so he likes to come out too and just kind of scope things out. And got a big day ahead of us tomorrow with all of the annuals getting planted either tomorrow or the next day. So it's always nice to kind of see what the gardens look like before they're all colored up with annuals. There's some more of that heaven sent Jacob's Ladder that's planted next to spirea, and I love how the foliage and flower there really complement each other. Heading around, we're going to have Mother Goose. This poor goose, I feel so bad for her. She's been sitting on this nest for weeks, and I'm really not thinking that her eggs are going to ever hatch, but she is a very faithful mama and has not left her post for a very long time. So poor girl, I wish she could understand that it's time to move on. And I don't know when she eats because she's always sitting here on this nest. The Waterfall Garden is soon going to be full of flowers. The arbor up there is going to be bright and beautiful. So right now it's looking pretty green, but the transformation this is going to have once those annuals come in is just breathtaking and unbelievably gorgeous. So I think this is going to conclude our garden tour tonight. There's not a whole lot of flowers going on as we make our way around this bed. If you have any questions or comments on today's video, I know this was kind of just a evening stroll talking about what's going on here in the gardens. So if there's anything that struck your fancy, feel free to leave it in the comments below. I'd like to know, do you like to do evening strolls? Like, what's the favorite time for you to walk through your gardens? Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.